Meanwhile, the golden age of Hollywood was also home to a number of actors whose dark and unpleasant sides often overshadowed their immense contributions to the industry. One of the most notorious was Errol Flynn, who was known to have a troubled childhood and a penchant for womanizing and heavy drinking. His womanizing ways led to a highly publicized trial in 1943, where he was accused of statutory rape, although he was ultimately acquitted. Rudolph Valentino, the silent film heartthrob, had a reputation for being ruthless in his pursuit of women, and his numerous affairs often ended in scandal. His tumultuous relationships with women were often marked by possessiveness and jealousy, which sometimes turned violent. Valentino's on-screen persona as a romantic lead belied his true nature, which was far more complex and troubled. John Barrymore, a member of the famous Barrymore acting family, struggled with addiction and personal demons throughout his life. His heavy drinking and womanizing often made headlines, and his tumultuous marriages were marked by infidelity and abuse. Barrymore's struggles with addiction eventually took a toll on his health, and he died at the age of 60 from complications related to his years of heavy drinking. Clark Gable, one of the most iconic leading men of Hollywood's golden age, had a reputation for being a heavy drinker and a womanizer. His numerous affairs often ended in scandal, and his marriage to actress Carole Lombard was marked by infidelity and possessiveness. Gable's on-screen persona as a charming and debonair leading man belied his true nature, which was far more complex and troubled. Meanwhile, the golden age of Hollywood was also home to a number of actors whose dark and unpleasant sides often overshadowed their immense contributions to the industry. One of the most notorious was Wallace Beery, who was known to have a volatile temper and a penchant for violence. His on-screen persona as a tough and rugged leading man was not far from the truth, and his numerous run-ins with the law often made headlines. Interestingly, Marlene Dietrich's professional collaborations, notably with Joseph von Sternberg, were marked by her strong control over her public image and career. This control was evident in her early days in Hollywood when she first started working with Sternberg, who directed her in several films including The Blue Angel and Shanghai Express. Dietrich's partnership with Sternberg not only helped establish her as a Hollywood star, but also allowed her to exert significant influence over her film roles and public persona. Dietrich's strong will and determination to shape her career were key factors in her success. She carefully managed her public image, often taking an active role in selecting her film roles, costumes, and even the way she was photographed. This level of control was rare for actresses at the time, and it helped Dietrich maintain a distinctive and glamorous on-screen persona. Sternberg, who was known for his visual style and innovative filmmaking techniques, was instrumental in helping Dietrich develop her screen presence. He often used elaborate sets, dramatic lighting, and carefully composed shots to showcase Dietrich's androgynous beauty and charisma. The partnership between Dietrich and Sternberg was highly successful, resulting in some of the most iconic films of Hollywood's golden age. Despite her success, Dietrich's strong personality and control over her career often led to conflicts with studio executives and other filmmakers. She was known to be fiercely independent and nonconformist, often challenging the conventional norms of Hollywood's studio system. This independence and willingness to take risks helped Dietrich maintain her unique screen persona and avoid being typecast in traditional female roles. Throughout her career, Dietrich continued to exert control over her public image and film roles, often selecting projects that allowed her to showcase her versatility as an actress. Her collaborations with Sternberg remain some of the most notable examples of her ability to shape her own career and maintain a distinctive on-screen presence. However, her decision to disinherit her daughter and son after her death further cemented her reputation as a vindictive and controlling figure. This decision was seen as a final act of revenge against her children, particularly her adopted daughter Christina, who had written a tell-all memoir about her childhood with Crawford. The book, titled Mommy Dearest, portrayed Crawford as a cruel and abusive mother, and its publication had a significant impact on Crawford's public image. Crawford's decision to disinherit her children was likely motivated by a desire to punish them for speaking out against her. She had always been a controlling figure in her children's lives, and the publication of Mommy Dearest was seen as a betrayal of her trust. By disinheriting her children, Crawford was able to exert one final act of control over them, even from beyond the grave. The disinheriting of her children also highlighted the complicated and often fraught relationship that Crawford had with her family. She had adopted 4 children during her lifetime, and her relationships with them were often strained. Crawford's children had grown up in a household that was marked by tension and conflict, and the publication of Mommy Dearest had brought many of these issues to the surface. Crawford's decision to disinherit her children was also seen as a reflection of her own complicated and often troubled past. She had grown up in poverty and had been forced to fight for everything she had achieved in her life. This had instilled in her a strong sense of determination and a willingness to do whatever it took to succeed. However, it had also left her with a deep-seated insecurity and a need for control that she often exercised over those around her. In the end, Crawford's decision to disinherit her children was a final act of a long and often tumultuous life. It was a testament to her enduring legacy as a complex and multifaceted figure, and a reminder that even the most glamorous and successful people can be flawed and vulnerable. Despite being associated with scandals, Lana Turner consistently demonstrated her acting prowess throughout her career. One of her most notable performances was in the 1959 film Imitation of Life, where she played the role of Laura Meredith, a struggling actress who becomes a successful Broadway star. Turner's portrayal of Laura showcased her resilience and talent as she skillfully navigated the complexities of her character's journey. Turner's performance in Imitation of Life was a testament to her ability to convey depth and emotion on screen. Her character's relationship with her daughter Susie, played by Sandra Dee, was particularly poignant, as it highlighted the challenges faced by single mothers in the 1950s. Turner's portrayal of Laura's struggles to balance her career and personal life added a layer of authenticity to the film, making her character relatable to audiences. The film Imitation of Life was also notable for its exploration of themes such as racism, identity, and class. Turner's character's interactions with her maid Annie, played by Juanita Moore, served as a catalyst for exploring these issues. Turner's performance in these scenes was nuanced and sensitive, demonstrating her ability to tackle complex social issues with tact and empathy. Throughout her career, Turner was known for her striking beauty and charisma on screen. However, her performance in Imitation of Life showcased her range as an actress, demonstrating that she was capable of more than just playing glamorous roles. Turner's portrayal of Laura Meredith was a powerful reminder of her talent and resilience, cementing her place as one of Hollywood's most enduring stars. Turner's personal life was often marred by scandal, including a highly publicized trial involving her daughter's boyfriend, who was accused of murdering Turner's gangster boyfriend. Despite these challenges, Turner continued to deliver powerful performances, earning her a reputation as a talented and dedicated actress. However, Errol Flynn's personal life was marred by controversy, particularly in 1942 when he faced serious allegations of statutory rape. At the time, Flynn was a Hollywood icon, known for his swashbuckling roles in films like Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood. But behind the scenes, Flynn's behavior was reportedly reckless and promiscuous, often involving young women and underage girls. The allegations against Flynn surfaced in November 1942, when 2 teenage girls, Betty Hansen and Peggy Satterley, accused him of statutory rape. Hansen claimed that Flynn had sex with her on a yacht in August 1941, when she was just 17 years old, while Satterley alleged that Flynn had sex with her in September 1941, when she was 15 years old. Flynn vehemently denied the allegations, claiming that the girls were lying and that he had never met them before. However, the prosecution presented evidence that suggested otherwise, including testimony from several witnesses who claimed to have seen Flynn with the girls on multiple occasions. Despite the allegations, Flynn maintained his innocence throughout the trial. His defense team argued that the girls were motivated by a desire for fame and fortune, and that they had fabricated the allegations in an attempt to extort money from Flynn. In the end, Flynn was acquitted of the charges, but the trial had a lasting impact on his career. The allegations had cast a dark shadow over his reputation, and many of his fans were left feeling disillusioned and betrayed. Flynn's personal life continued to be marred by controversy, and he struggled with addiction and health problems in the years that followed. The trial also had a lasting impact on Flynn's relationships with women. Many of his female co-stars and friends distanced themselves from him, and he became increasingly isolated and lonely. Despite his efforts to revive his career, Flynn was never able to fully recover from the damage that had been done. In the years that followed, Flynn's behavior became increasingly erratic, and he struggled with addiction and health problems. He died in 1959, at the age of 50, from a heart attack. Despite his troubled personal life, Flynn's legacy as a Hollywood icon has endured, and he remains one of the most beloved and respected actors of Hollywood's golden age. Meanwhile, Gloria Swanson's off-screen life mirrored her on-screen grandeur, with financial mismanagement and excessive spending contributing to her reputation for extravagance. Her personal life was a testament to her larger-than-life persona, with 6 marriages and numerous high-profile relationships that often made headlines. Swanson's love of luxury and her penchant for extravagant spending often put her at odds with her financial advisors, who struggled to keep her lavish lifestyle in check. As one of the highest-paid actresses of her time, Swanson's salary was astronomical, but her spending habits were equally impressive. She was known to indulge in expensive jewelry, designer clothing, and lavish parties, often throwing herself into debt. Despite her financial woes, Swanson continued to live a life of opulence, often relying on her charm and charisma to talk her way out of financial trouble. Swanson's reputation for extravagance was not limited to her personal life. Her film sets were often lavish and expensive, with elaborate costumes and sets that reflected her larger-than-life persona. Her iconic film Sadie Thompson was notorious for its high production costs, which were largely due to Swanson's insistence on using only the finest materials and craftsmen. Despite her reputation for extravagance, Swanson was a shrewd businesswoman who was deeply involved in the production of her films. She was known to have a keen eye for detail, and was often instrumental in selecting the scripts, directors, and crew members for her projects. Her attention to detail and her commitment to excellence helped to establish her as one of the most respected actresses of her time. Swanson's personal life was also marked by a series of high-profile feuds with other actresses and industry professionals. Her rivalry with actress Paula Negri was particularly well documented, with the two women engaging in a series of public spats and insults. Despite these feuds, Swanson remained a beloved figure in Hollywood, with her charm and charisma winning over even her most ardent critics. However, Lana Turner's life was marred by personal struggles that threatened to overshadow her professional success. She struggled with health issues including alcoholism and prescription drug addiction, further complicating her personal and professional life. Turner's addiction problems were likely linked to her tumultuous personal life, which included multiple marriages and high-profile relationships. Her dependence on prescription medication was also exacerbated by her struggles with physical health, including a bout of rheumatic fever that left her with chronic health problems. Turner's addiction issues were well documented in the press, and her personal life was frequently splashed across the headlines. Her struggles with prescription medication and alcohol were often linked to her tumultuous relationships, including her marriage to Stephen Crane, with whom she had a daughter, Cheryl. Turner's addiction problems also led to a number of high-profile hospitalizations, including a stint in a rehabilitation clinic in the 1950s. Despite her personal struggles, Turner continued to work in film and television throughout the 1950s and 1960s. However, her addiction issues and personal problems took a toll on her career, and she began to appear in fewer and fewer films. Turner's struggles with addiction also led to a number of run-ins with the law, including a highly publicized arrest for drunk driving in the 1960s. Turner's personal struggles eventually began to take a toll on her physical health, and she was diagnosed with throat cancer in the 1990s. She underwent treatment for the disease, but it eventually spread to her lungs, and she died in 1995 at the age of 74. Despite her personal struggles, Turner remains a beloved figure in Hollywood, and her legacy as a talented and glamorous actress continues to endure. Turner's struggles with addiction and personal problems serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of substance abuse and the importance of seeking help when needed. Her story is a reminder that even the most glamorous and successful individuals can struggle with addiction and personal problems, and that seeking help is the first step towards recovery. However, it was her tumultuous relationship with her adopted daughter Christina that would ultimately tarnish her legacy as an actress. Christina Crawford's memoir, Mommy Dearest, published in 1978, painted a picture of a mother who was both physically and emotionally abusive. According to Christina, Joan would often unleash her anger on her children, subjecting them to cruel punishments and verbal abuse. Christina's allegations of abuse were corroborated by other family members and former employees, who described Joan as a demanding and controlling mother. The memoir also detailed Joan's struggles with addiction and her increasingly erratic behavior, which made life at home unbearable for her children. The publication of Mommy Dearest sparked a heated debate about Joan's parenting and her treatment of her children. While some of her fans and colleagues defended her, others were shocked and disturbed by the allegations of abuse. The controversy surrounding the book and the subsequent film adaptation, which starred Faye Dunaway as Joan, further solidified the public's perception of Joan as a difficult and demanding person. Despite her impressive body of work, which included iconic films such as Mildred Pierce and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, Joan's legacy was forever marred by the allegations of abuse. Her reputation as a talented and dedicated actress was overshadowed by the disturbing accounts of her behavior as a mother. In the years following the publication of Mommy Dearest, Joan's public image continued to suffer. She became increasingly reclusive, rarely giving interviews or making public appearances. Her relationships with her children were also strained, particularly with Christina, who continued to speak out about the abuse she suffered at the hands of her mother. Joan's later years were marked by a decline in her physical and mental health. She died in 1977 at the age of 72, leaving behind a legacy that was both celebrated and reviled. While her contributions to the world of cinema were undeniable, the allegations of abuse and her tumultuous relationship with her daughter would forever be a part of her story. Known for her intense performances and strong-willed personality, Bette Davis often clashed with studio executives and co-stars due to her insistence on creative control. This tendency led to numerous conflicts throughout her career, particularly during Hollywood's golden age. Davis's unwavering dedication to her craft frequently put her at odds with those around her, resulting in a reputation for being difficult to work with. Her unrelenting pursuit of perfection led to numerous on-set disagreements, with some co-stars even refusing to work with her again. Despite this, Davis remained resolute in her artistic vision, often going to great lengths to ensure that her performances met her exceptionally high standards. This unyielding commitment to her craft earned her a reputation as one of the most talented and formidable actresses of her time. Davis's strong personality and unwavering dedication to her work also led to clashes with studio executives, who often found themselves at odds with her unrelenting demands for creative control. Her refusal to compromise on her artistic vision led to numerous battles with studio heads, who frequently sought to exert their authority over her. Despite these challenges, Davis remained steadfast in her commitment to her craft, ultimately emerging as one of the most respected and beloved actresses of Hollywood's golden age. Her legendary feuds with other actresses, including Joan Crawford and Miriam Hopkins, have become the stuff of Hollywood legend. These highly publicized conflicts only served to further cement Davis's reputation as a fiercely competitive and uncompromising artist. Despite the challenges and controversies that often surrounded her, Davis remained a beloved and respected figure in Hollywood, known for her unwavering dedication to her craft and her unrelenting pursuit of perfection. Throughout her long and storied career, Davis continued to push boundaries and defy expectations, earning her a reputation as one of the most talented and innovative actresses of her time. Her unwavering commitment to her craft and her unrelenting pursuit of perfection ultimately earned her a place as one of the most beloved and respected figures in Hollywood history. Notorious for his scandalous reputation, Errol Flynn's personal life was a testament to the excesses of Hollywood's golden age. His hedonistic lifestyle, marked by excessive drinking and womanizing, often overshadowed his impressive acting career. Flynn's love of adventure and his dashing on-screen persona only seemed to fuel his off-screen antics, as he frequently found himself at the center of controversy. Flynn's womanizing was the stuff of legend, with numerous affairs and romantic conquests that often made headlines. His numerous relationships with women, many of whom were significantly younger than him, only added to his reputation as a ladies' man. His love life was a constant source of fascination for the press and the public, with many of his relationships ending in scandal or heartbreak. In addition to his womanizing, Flynn's love of drink was also well documented. He was known to be a heavy drinker, often consuming large quantities of alcohol on set and off. His drinking problem would eventually take a toll on his health, contributing to his early decline and eventual death at the age of 50. Despite his personal demons, Flynn remained a beloved figure in Hollywood, with many of his colleagues and friends speaking fondly of him. His on-screen charm and charisma continued to captivate audiences, and he remains one of the most iconic actors of Hollywood's golden age. However, his scandalous reputation and numerous controversies have become an integral part of his legend, cementing his place as one of the most infamous actors of his time. Flynn's personal life was a complex web of excess and indulgence, marked by a constant pursuit of pleasure and adventure. While his acting career was marked by numerous successes, his personal life was a never-ending cycle of scandal and controversy. His reputation as a ladies' man and a heavy drinker has become the stuff of legend, and he remains one of the most fascinating and complex figures of Hollywood's golden age. Meanwhile, Lana Turner's personal life was a subject of great fascination for the public and the media, largely due to her tumultuous love life and high-profile affairs. Her relationships often made headlines, adding to her bad girl image that captivated audiences. One of her most notable affairs was with the dashing actor Tyrone Power, who was already married at the time. This scandalous romance only added to Turner's notoriety, further solidifying her reputation as a Hollywood siren with a penchant for drama and romance. Turner's romantic life was a constant source of attention, with the press eagerly reporting on her every move. Her numerous marriages and affairs were splashed across the front pages of newspapers, making her a household name. The public's fascination with her personal life was matched only by their admiration for her on-screen talent, as she continued to captivate audiences with her performances in films like The Postman Always Rings Twice and Peyton Place. As her career continued to soar, Turner's personal life remained a subject of great interest. Her relationships were often marked by turmoil and drama, with many of her romances ending in heartbreak and scandal. Despite this, Turner remained a beloved figure in Hollywood, with her talent and charisma on screen continuing to win over audiences. Her bad girl image only added to her allure, making her one of the most fascinating and captivating stars of Hollywood's golden age. Turner's ability to balance her personal life with her career was a testament to her strength and resilience. Despite the constant scrutiny and attention, she continued to thrive in the spotlight, using her charm and talent to win over audiences and critics alike. Her legacy as a Hollywood icon remains to this day, with her bad girl image and tumultuous personal life continuing to fascinate audiences. Joan Crawford, one of Hollywood's golden age stars, faced accusations of being an abusive mother from her adoptive daughter, Christina Crawford. In her memoir, Christina portrayed Joan as overbearing and focused on her public image, which led to a toxic family environment. This incident exposed the darker side of the iconic actress, downplaying her impressive career, and happened between Joan. Although generator tool Leonardo DiCaprio's performance in the film Blade Runner reflected his versatility and talent. On the other hand, Joan Crawford's enduring legacy is overshadowed by her troubled personal life, marked by her power struggles with her adopted daughter and Duke's obsession with her persona. Meanwhile, Gloria Swanson's life was a true rags-to-riches story, filled with drama and intrigue. Born in Chicago in 1899, Swanson began her career in show business at a young age, working as a stenographer and later as a chorus girl. She eventually made her way to Hollywood, where she quickly rose to fame, becoming one of the most popular actresses of the 1920s. Swanson's early success was largely due to her striking looks and charming on-screen presence. She became known for her glamorous persona, both on and off-screen, and was often referred to as the Queen of Hollywood. Her film career was marked by a string of successful movies, including Sadie Thompson and Queen Kelly, both of which showcased her impressive acting range. However, Swanson's personal life was not without its challenges. She was married 6 times and had a reputation for being difficult to work with. Her lavish spending habits and extravagant lifestyle also led to financial troubles, which would plague her for much of her life. Despite her financial troubles, Swanson experienced a career revival with her role in Sunset Boulevard, a 1950 film that drew parallels with her own fall from fame. The movie, directed by Billy Wilder, tells the story of a faded movie star who becomes obsessed with a young screenwriter. Swanson's performance in the film was widely praised, and it remains one of her most iconic roles to this day. Swanson's portrayal of Norma Desmond, the fictional movie star, was eerily reminiscent of her own experiences. Like Desmond, Swanson had once been a beloved actress, only to see her fame fade with the passage of time. The film's themes of nostalgia, loss, and the fleeting nature of fame resonated deeply with Swanson, who had struggled to come to terms with her own decline. The success of Sunset Boulevard marked a turning point in Swanson's career, and she went on to appear in a number of other films and television shows. However, she never regained the level of fame she had enjoyed in the 1920s and she eventually retired from acting in the 1970s. However, it seems there is a discrepancy between the title and the subject. The title Most Evil Actors of Hollywood's Golden Age suggests a focus on actors with malicious behavior, whereas the subject Bing Crosby is described as a beloved entertainer with a personal life marred by abusive parenting. Nevertheless, I will proceed with the information provided. Bing Crosby was a household name during Hollywood's Golden Age, known for his velvety voice and charming on-screen presence. He was a talented singer, actor, and entertainer who captivated audiences worldwide with his soothing baritone voice and effortless charm. Behind the scenes, however, Crosby's personal life was marred by a darker reality. His children would later reveal that their father's parenting style was abusive and emotionally damaging. Crosby's sons, Gary, Dennis, Philip, and Lindsay, would all go on to write about their difficult childhoods in their respective memoirs. Gary Crosby's 1983 memoir, Going My Own Way, was particularly scathing, detailing the physical and emotional abuse he suffered at the hands of his father. According to Gary, Crosby was a demanding and critical parent who frequently belittled and humiliated his children. Dennis Crosby, who struggled with depression and addiction throughout his life, also wrote about the emotional toll of his father's abuse. In his 1985 memoir, My Father, Bing Crosby, Dennis described his father as a cold and distant figure who was more concerned with his career than his family's well-being. Philip Crosby, who died in 2004, also spoke publicly about the emotional scars he carried as a result of his father's abuse. In various interviews, Philip described Crosby as a complex and often cruel man who was prone to outbursts of anger and violence. Lindsay Crosby, who struggled with addiction and depression throughout his life, was perhaps the most affected by his father's abuse. In his 1985 memoir, My Father, Bing Crosby, Lindsay described his father as a ruthless and demanding parent who pushed him to his limits. Despite his beloved public image, Bing Crosby's personal life was marked by a disturbing pattern of abuse and neglect. His children's memoirs paint a portrait of a man who was deeply flawed and often cruel, a far cry from the charming and affable persona he presented to the world. However, it was her captivating stage presence and unique voice that truly set her apart from other actresses of her time. Marlene Dietrich's enigmatic persona was a carefully crafted image, one that she manipulated to perfection in order to achieve her desired level of fame and success. With a keen sense of self-promotion, she carefully controlled every aspect of her public image, from her fashion sense to her personal relationships. Her scandalous personal relationships were often the subject of much speculation and gossip, with many of her romantic conquests being high-profile celebrities and powerful men. Dietrich's relationships were often tumultuous and passionate, with some of her most notable affairs being with the likes of Gary Cooper and John Wayne. Her willingness to engage in these scandalous relationships only added to her mystique and allure, making her one of the most fascinating and talked about actresses of her time. Dietrich's rise to fame was not without its challenges, however. As a German actress in Hollywood, she faced many obstacles and prejudices, particularly during the height of World War II. Despite these challenges, she persevered and continued to build her career, eventually becoming one of the most beloved and respected actresses of her generation. Throughout her career, Dietrich was known for her incredible talent, her captivating stage presence, and her unwavering dedication to her craft. She was a true Hollywood legend, and her legacy continues to inspire and captivate audiences to this day. Her ability to reinvent herself and adapt to the changing times was a testament to her strength and resilience as a performer. Despite her tough exterior, Dietrich was also known to be fiercely loyal and protective of those she cared about. Her relationships with her family and closest friends were deeply meaningful to her, and she would stop at nothing to defend and support them. This complex and multifaceted personality only added to her allure, making her one of the most fascinating and intriguing actresses of her time. Meanwhile, Lana Turner's professional success was marred by scandals and personal tragedies, overshadowing her cinematic achievements despite being one of MGM's top stars of the 1940s and 1950s. Turner's rise to fame was swift, and she quickly became a household name, starring in films such as Ziegfeld Girl and Johnny Eager. Her striking beauty and captivating on-screen presence made her a favorite among audiences, and she went on to star in numerous films throughout her career, including The Postman Always Rings Twice and Peyton Place. However, Turner's personal life was marred by turmoil and tragedy. She was married 8 times and her relationships were often tumultuous and short-lived. Her daughter, Cheryl Crane, was involved in a highly publicized scandal in 1958 when she stabbed Turner's boyfriend, Johnny Stompanato, to death. The incident was widely reported in the media, and Turner's reputation suffered as a result. Lieutenant Turner's struggles with her personal life continued throughout her career, and she became known for her fiery personality and numerous romantic conquests. Despite her professional success, she struggled with addiction and depression, and her personal life often overshadowed her cinematic achievements. Nevertheless, Turner remained a beloved figure in Hollywood, and her legacy as a talented actress, an iconic star of the silver screen, has endured long after her retirement from the industry. Turner's impact on Hollywood was significant, and she paved the way for future generations of actresses. Her striking beauty and captivating on-screen presence made her a favorite among audiences, and her legacy continues to inspire actresses today. Despite the scandals and personal tragedies that marred her career, Turner remains one of the most beloved and enduring stars of Hollywood's golden age. Meanwhile, Gloria Swanson's career was nearly derailed by a disastrous production of Queen Kelly, a 1929 film that led to her financial ruin and cemented her difficult reputation. The film, directed by Erich von Stroheim, was intended to be a lavish epic, but it quickly spiraled out of control, with costs soaring and the director's perfectionism causing delays. Swanson, who was also producing the film, found herself at odds with von Stroheim, and the tension between them became notorious in Hollywood. As the production dragged on, Swanson's finances began to dwindle, and she was forced to mortgage her own home to keep the film afloat. Despite her efforts, the film was ultimately deemed unreleasable, and it was shelved, never to be seen by the public. The failure of Queen Kelly was a devastating blow to Swanson, both financially and professionally. She was left deeply in debt, and her reputation as a difficult actress was solidified. Swanson's reputation for being difficult had been building for some time, and the failure of Queen Kelly only added fuel to the fire. She was known for being demanding and exacting on set, and her relationships with her co-stars and directors were often strained. Despite her talent and beauty, Swanson's reputation made it difficult for her to find work, and she was eventually forced to scale back her ambitions. The experience of Queen Kelly was a painful lesson for Swanson, and it marked a turning point in her career. She would go on to make a few more films, but she never regained the level of success she had enjoyed in the 1920s. Instead, she turned her attention to other pursuits, including fashion and politics, and she eventually became a successful businesswoman and activist. Despite the setbacks she faced, Swanson remained a beloved figure in Hollywood, and her legacy as a pioneering actress continues to be celebrated today. Notorious for her tumultuous romantic relationships, Lana Turner's personal life was a subject of public fascination and scrutiny throughout her career. Her 8 marriages to 7 different men were often marred by drama, infidelity, and even violence. Turner's first marriage to bandleader Artie Shaw in 1940 ended in divorce after just 4 months, with Shaw later citing Turner's immaturity and lack of emotional depth as the reasons for their split. Her subsequent marriages to restaurateur Stephen Crane in 1942 and 1943 were also short-lived, with the first ending in annulment due to Crane's previous marriage not being properly dissolved, and the second ending in divorce after just 3 months. Turner's marriage to actor Lex Barker in 1950 was marked by allegations of physical abuse, with Turner later testifying in court that Barker had beaten her on multiple occasions. Turner's marriage to actor Fred May in 1960 was also marred by infidelity, with May later admitting to having an affair with Turner's daughter's best friend. Her marriage to businessman Harold Robbins in 1962 ended in divorce after just 3 years, with Turner later citing Robbins' lack of emotional support as the reason for their split. Turner's marriage to nightclub owner Ronald Dante in 1969 was marked by allegations of mob ties, with Turner later admitting to having been unaware of Dante's connections to organized crime. Her final marriage to businessman Ronald Peller in 1969 ended in divorce after just 6 months, with Turner later citing Peller's lack of financial support as the reason for their split. Throughout her life, Turner's romantic relationships were often marked by a pattern of codependency and a tendency to attract men who were emotionally unavailable or abusive. Despite her tumultuous personal life, Turner remained a beloved and respected figure in Hollywood, known for her stunning beauty and captivating on-screen presence. Behind the charming smile and smooth voice of one of Hollywood's most beloved stars, Bing Crosby, lay a dark and troubled home life. Gary Crosby's memoir exposed the strict and often violent discipline his father imposed on him and his brothers, which contributed to deep emotional scars that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. Bing Crosby's tough and demanding parenting style was a far cry from the warm and loving persona he projected on screen. His sons, Gary, Dennis, Philip, and Lindsay, were subjected to physical and emotional abuse, with Bing often using his belt to discipline them. The beatings were frequent and brutal, leaving the boys with physical and emotional scars. Gary Crosby's memoir, Going My Own Way, revealed the traumatic childhood he and his brothers endured at the hands of their father. The book painted a picture of a man who was cold, distant, and cruel, a far cry from the warm and loving father figure he portrayed in his movies. The memoir also exposed the deep emotional scars that Bing's sons carried with them throughout their lives. The physical and emotional abuse took a devastating toll on Bing's sons. Gary struggled with depression and anxiety, while Dennis and Philip turned to substance abuse to cope with their pain. The trauma they experienced at the hands of their father also contributed to the later suicides of two of his sons, Dennis and Philip. Dennis Crosby, who struggled with depression and addiction, took his own life in 1991 at the age of 56. Philip Crosby, who also struggled with addiction and depression, died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound in 2004 at the age of 69. The tragic loss of two of his sons was a devastating blow to Bing Crosby's family, and a stark reminder of the lasting impact of his strict and violent discipline. Bing Crosby's legacy as a beloved entertainer has been tarnished by the revelations of his troubled home life. While he remains one of the most popular and enduring stars of Hollywood's golden age, his treatment of his sons is a sobering reminder that even the most charming and charismatic personalities can hide dark secrets. Known for her captivating presence on the silver screen, Gloria Swanson was an emblem of early Hollywood glamour, with a lavish lifestyle and a reputation for being demanding and self-centered in her professional pursuits. Her rise to fame began in the 1910s, and she quickly became a household name, starring in numerous films that showcased her talent and beauty. As her career progressed, Swanson's reputation for being difficult to work with grew, with many of her colleagues and directors describing her as stubborn and uncooperative. Despite her reputation, Swanson's talent and charisma on screen were undeniable, and she continued to land leading roles in some of Hollywood's most prestigious films. Her lavish lifestyle was also the subject of much attention, with Swanson known for her exquisite fashion sense and her love of luxury. She was often seen at high-profile events, surrounded by the rich and famous, and her personal life was frequently splashed across the pages of the tabloids. Swanson's self-centered nature was also evident in her personal relationships, with many of her romantic partners and friends describing her as manipulative and controlling. Despite this, she remained a beloved figure in Hollywood, with many of her colleagues and admirers drawn to her captivating personality and undeniable talent. As the years went by, Swanson's reputation as a demanding and self-centered actress only grew, with many of her colleagues and directors describing her as one of the most difficult stars to work with in Hollywood. However, her legacy as a true Hollywood legend has endured, with many film historians and critics continuing to celebrate her contributions to the world of cinema. Her impact on the film industry can still be felt today, and her name remains synonymous with the glamour and sophistication of Hollywood's golden age. Meanwhile, Bette Davis's notorious feud with Joan Crawford during the filming of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane became one of Hollywood's most legendary rivalries. The tension between the two actresses had been building for years, and it all came to a head on the set of the 1962 film. Davis and Crawford had a long history of clashing, with both women vying for the top spot as Hollywood's leading lady. The rivalry was fueled by their vastly different personalities, with Davis being known for her strong will and determination, while Crawford was famous for her glamorous image and ruthless ambition. The filming of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane was a tense and dramatic experience, with both actresses struggling to work together. Davis and Crawford would often argue over lines, costumes, and even the direction of the film. The tension between them was so thick that it began to affect the rest of the cast and crew, who would often find themselves caught in the middle of the two actresses' feud. One of the most famous stories about the feud between Davis and Crawford is the time that Davis had a Coca-Cola machine installed in her dressing room, just to spite Crawford, who was a spokesperson for Pepsi at the time. This petty act of revenge was just one example of the many ways in which Davis and Crawford would try to one-up each other on set. Despite the tension between them, both Davis and Crawford delivered outstanding performances in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. The film was a critical and commercial success, and it helped to cement the reputations of both actresses as two of Hollywood's greatest stars. However, the feud between them would continue to simmer for many years, with both women making public jabs at each other in interviews and at industry events. In the years following the release of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, the feud between Davis and Crawford would become the stuff of legend, with many people in the industry weighing in on the drama that had unfolded on set. While the exact details of the feud may never be fully known, it is clear that the tension between Davis and Crawford was very real, and that it had a lasting impact on both of their careers. Meanwhile, Barbara Stanwyck's rise from hardship to Hollywood stardom was driven by her relentless dedication to her craft, which sometimes created tension with colleagues. Born Ruby Catherine Stevens on July 16, 1907, in Brooklyn, New York, Stanwyck grew up in a troubled home. Her mother died when she was just 4 years old, and her father abandoned the family soon after. Stanwyck and her siblings were shuffled between foster homes and relatives, often struggling to make ends meet. Despite these hardships, Stanwyck found solace in dance and theater. She began performing at a young age, eventually landing a spot in the Ziegfeld Follies chorus line. Her big break came in 1927 when she was cast in the Broadway play The Noose. Her performance earned her a contract with the Hollywood film studio Columbia Pictures. Stanwyck's early years in Hollywood were marked by intense dedication to her craft. She would often spend hours rehearsing lines, perfecting her performances, and seeking feedback from directors and colleagues. This drive sometimes led to friction with those around her, who saw her as intense or difficult to work with. However, Stanwyck's hard work paid off, and she quickly established herself as a talented and versatile actress. Throughout her career, Stanwyck appeared in over 80 films, including classics like Double Indemnity, The Lady Eve, and Meet John Doe. Her performances earned her numerous award nominations, including 4 Academy Award nominations. Despite her success, Stanwyck remained humble and dedicated to her craft, always striving to improve and push herself as an actress. Stanwyck's personal life was also marked by turmoil and hardship. She was married 4 times, including to actor Robert Taylor, and struggled with the pressures of fame and the scrutiny of the public eye. However, she remained a beloved figure in Hollywood, known for her kindness, generosity, and dedication to her craft. As the years went by, Stanwyck continued to work tirelessly, appearing in films and television shows well into her 70s. Her legacy as a Hollywood legend was cemented, and she remains one of the most beloved and respected actresses of Hollywood's golden age. With a career spanning over 6 decades, Barbara Stanwyck was a highly respected actress of Hollywood's golden age, known for her intense professionalism and demand for excellence. This unwavering dedication to her craft earned her a reputation that was multifaceted, being both admired and feared by her peers. While some saw her as cold and difficult, others revered her for her unrelenting pursuit of perfection. Stanwyck's commitment to her work was evident in every role she took on, from her early days as a stage actress to her later years in film and television. She was known to be meticulous in her preparation, often immersing herself in the character and the story to deliver a performance that was authentic and captivating. This level of dedication did not go unnoticed, as she earned numerous awards and nominations throughout her career, including 4 Academy Award nominations. Despite her tough exterior, Stanwyck was also known to be a generous and kind-hearted person, particularly when it came to her colleagues and friends. She was a loyal supporter of those she worked with, often going out of her way to help them in their careers. This dichotomy of being both tough and kind only added to the complexity of her reputation, making her a fascinating figure in the world of Hollywood. Stanwyck's reputation as a demanding actress was not limited to her on-screen performances. She was also known to be a shrewd businesswoman, always looking for ways to improve her craft and increase her earning potential. This savvy approach to her career helped her to navigate the often treacherous waters of Hollywood, where actresses were frequently undervalued and underpaid. Throughout her long and illustrious career, Stanwyck worked with some of the most renowned directors and actors of her time, including Cecil B. DeMille, Fritz Lang, and Gary Cooper. Her collaborations with these artists resulted in some of her most memorable performances, including her iconic roles in Double Indemnity and Meet John Doe. Despite her many accomplishments, Stanwyck's personal life was not without its challenges. She experienced a tumultuous marriage to actor Robert Taylor, which ended in divorce after several years. However, this setback did not deter her from continuing to pursue her passion for acting, and she remained a beloved and respected figure in the entertainment industry until her death in 1990. Meanwhile, the life of actress Lana Turner was marred by a scandal that would become one of the most infamous in Hollywood's history. The murder of her lover Johnny Stompanato by her daughter Cheryl Crane during an altercation would forever change the course of their lives. Lana Turner's relationship with Johnny Stompanato was tumultuous from the start. Stompanato was a small-time hood with a reputation for being violent and controlling. Despite his questionable character, Turner was deeply in love with him, and the two began a romantic relationship. However, their love was not without its challenges. Stompanato was known to be possessive and jealous, often becoming violent when Turner would leave his side. As their relationship continued, Turner's daughter Cheryl Crane began to notice the change in her mother's behavior. Crane had always been close to her mother, but she grew increasingly concerned as she witnessed Stompanato's abuse firsthand. The tension between Stompanato and Crane came to a head on April 4, 1958, when the two got into a heated argument at Turner's home. The altercation ended in tragedy when Crane, fearing for her mother's safety, stabbed Stompanato to death with a kitchen knife. The aftermath of the murder was chaotic, with Turner and Crane both being questioned by police. In the end, Crane was charged with manslaughter, but she was later acquitted due to justifiable homicide. The trial was highly publicized, with many of Hollywood's elite coming to show their support for Turner and her daughter. Despite the acquittal, the scandal had a lasting impact on Turner's career and personal life. She would never fully recover from the trauma of the event, and her relationship with her daughter would be forever changed. In the years following the trial, Turner's career began to decline. She continued to act in films, but she never regained the same level of success she had experienced in the 1940s and 1950s. Her personal life was also marred by turmoil, with Turner struggling to come to terms with the events of that fateful night. Despite her best efforts, she was never able to fully move on from the tragedy, and it would haunt her for the rest of her life. Meanwhile, Marlene Dietrich's personal life was a subject of great fascination and scandal, captivating the public's imagination and cementing her status as a Hollywood icon. Her bisexuality and numerous affairs, including those with prominent figures like John Gilbert and Jean Gavin, shocked and intrigued the public, who were both repelled and attracted by her unconventional lifestyle. Dietrich's relationships with women, including the famous fashion designer and socialite Coco Chanel and the actress Mercedes de Acosta, were particularly scandalous given the societal norms of the time. Dietrich's affair with John Gilbert, a popular actor and one of the highest-paid stars of the 1920s, was a major scandal, as Gilbert was already married at the time. The affair reportedly ended when Gilbert's wife discovered a compromising letter from Dietrich to her husband. Dietrich's relationship with Jean Gavin, a French actor, was also highly publicized, with the two actors starring together in several films, including the 1930 movie Pension Mimosas. Dietrich's numerous affairs and relationships with both men and women were seen as a reflection of her liberated and unconventional personality, which captivated the public's imagination and inspired a generation of women to challenge traditional societal norms. Her refusal to conform to traditional feminine roles and her willingness to take risks and push boundaries made her a true original, a woman ahead of her time. Dietrich's personal life was also marked by her love of men's clothing and her tendency to dress in masculine attire, which was seen as shocking and scandalous by some. Her iconic style, which blended elements of masculinity and femininity, has been emulated by countless women and has become a hallmark of her enduring legacy. Despite the scandals and controversies that surrounded her personal life, Dietrich remained a beloved and respected figure in Hollywood, known for her incredible talent, her captivating stage presence, and her unwavering commitment to her art. Her legacy continues to inspire and fascinate audiences to this day, a testament to her enduring power and allure. These actors' personal struggles and dark behaviors often led to tumultuous relationships and run-ins with the law, which frequently made headlines and tarnished their public images. Despite their immense contributions to the film industry, their personal demons and unpleasant sides often overshadowed their on-screen personas, leaving behind a complex and troubled legacy. Many of these actors struggled with addiction, womanizing, and violence, which ultimately took a toll on their health and personal lives. Their stories serve as a reminder that the glamour of Hollywood's golden age was not always as it seemed, and that even the most iconic stars struggled with their own personal demons. The contrast between their on-screen personas and real-life behaviors is a fascinating and often disturbing aspect of Hollywood's history, and one that continues to captivate audiences to this day. As their stories continue to be told and retold, it is clear that the true nature of these actors was far more complex and multifaceted than their on-screen personas would suggest.